You could feel the temperature drop through the screen, that tiny, unsettling moment when a presenter who normally keeps everything buoyant suddenly looks like they've lost their footing. Not in a theatrical way. In a human way. And that's why the clip of Ben Shephard breaking down live has been sticking to people's minds, because it didn't play like entertainment, it played like something slipping out that wasn't meant to. Now, before we go any further, it's worth saying this carefully. A lot of the versions circulating online are packaged with dramatic captions, chopped up edits, and bold claims about a confession. While nothing has been confirmed in the way those viral titles imply, the emotional reaction they triggered is still very real, and honestly, that reaction tells us as much about modern TV culture as it does about Ben himself. Because Ben Shephard isn't a presenter audiences associate with chaos. He's the steady pair of hands. The warm laugh. The "we'll get through this segment together" energy. He's the sort of broadcaster who can deliver heavy news without making it about himself, then flick the switch back to lightness without it feeling jarring. So when people believe they're watching Ben crack, even for a few seconds, it lands like a shock to the system. Viewers don't just think, "Oh, that's a tense moment." They think, "Wait, is he okay?" And that's where the word horrifying starts doing damage. It's a word that creates panic before it creates understanding. It primes you to look for something catastrophic. It makes every pause feel bigger, every blink feel like a signal, every inhale feel like the start of tears. Many viewers noticed that once you've read a dramatic caption, you don't watch the clip neutrally anymore. You watch it like evidence that what's fascinating is how quickly the internet turns normal live TV messiness into a narrative of collapse. A presenter clears their throat, looks down, takes a breath, and suddenly it's framed as breaking down. Someone reacts with empathy, and it becomes shocked. A sensitive topic comes up, and a split-second facial shift gets labeled as a confession. It almost felt like the story was written first, and the footage was forced to fit it afterwards. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Live television really does have moments that feel raw. Sometimes a guest says something heavy and the studio goes quiet. Sometimes a producer talks in the presenter's ears and you see a flicker of stress. Sometimes a presenter tries to keep the pace, but their face betrays them for half a second because they're human. And that's not scandal. That's the entire reason breakfast TV still works. Because you can't fully script the atmosphere as, "Oh, what could viewers be responding to here?" Emotionally, even if the viral framing is exaggerated. One possibility is that the confession people keep referencing isn't a sensational secret at all. It's something personal, vulnerable, or unexpectedly honest that caught Ben off guard. The kind of admission that makes a studio feel smaller. Something that reminds you the people on screen aren't just talent. They're people who absorb stories for a living. And when you absorb enough grief, enough trauma, enough difficult interviews, it goes somewhere. Sometimes it shows up in your voice. Sometimes it shows up as a pause you can't hide. Another possibility is that viewers are projecting a deeper meaning because they're primed to. We're living in an era where audiences are trained to hunt for the real moment. The unguarded expression. The uncomfortable silence. The second the smile drops. It's like social media has taught us that the truth is always in what wasn't polished. So when Ben looks even slightly shaken, the public doesn't just notice. They attach a storyline, and I think that's why people keep replaying it. Not because they want Ben to suffer, but because they're trying to locate the exact second where the mood changes. The instant where something becomes real. It's a strange kind of empathy mixed with curiosity, and it's uniquely British in a way. We're not always comfortable with big emotion, but we're mesmerized when it appears unexpectedly, especially in a setting that's meant to be tidy and upbeat. What also gets lost in the viral retellings is the pressure of the job itself. Presenting live is not just reading words. It's listening, responding, timing, switching tone, managing the guest, managing the co-host dynamic, managing the gallery, managing your own body language, all while the nation watches you. If you're slightly rattled, you can't say, "Hold on, I need a minute." You have to keep moving. And that's why a visible wobble feels so intense. It's a crack in a machine that's designed to appear seamless. Some people watching interpreted Ben's emotional moments as proof he's reaching breaking point, while others saw it as something much simpler, a decent person reacting to something sad. And honestly, Both readings say more about the viewer than the presenter. If you're already exhausted by the news cycle, already anxious, already feeling like everything is too much, then seeing a familiar face falter can feel like confirmation that the world is heavy. If even Ben looks shaken, what does that say about the rest of us? And then there's the other side of it, the part that makes me uneasy. The monetization of emotion. Because the moment a clip is labeled horrifying, it stops being a moment and becomes a product. The algorithm loves distress. It loves outrage. It loves a shocking confession. And once that machine starts rolling, it can flatten a person's humanity into clickbait. It can turn a normal human response into a storyline that follows someone around, whether it's true or fair or not. So when you see titles like that, it's worth holding two thoughts at once. It's possible there was a genuinely affecting moment on live TV, and it's also possible the internet has inflated it beyond recognition. It's hard to say for certain without clear, full context, but what isn't in doubt is how strongly people responded, and what that response reveals about our relationship with presenters we feel we know. Maybe what stayed with viewers wasn't only what Ben said or didn't say, but the tiny silence around it. The sense that for a split second, the studio wasn't performing anymore. And perhaps that's why it's traveled so far online. Because in a world of constant noise, a quiet, human pause can feel louder than any headline. So I want to know what you noticed.